in theory, we should be recording and live. Right on time. All right, everybody is here for the Raleigh SEO meetup, right? Nobody got lost? All right, you're in the right place. So, a quick reminder, the schedule for the meetup events. From 5 till 6:30, we have a pizza party in order to bribe people to not sit in traffic and to come down here and network a little bit. 6:30 till 8, we have our meeting here in the classroom. And then at 8, I chase everybody out of here, but you don't necessarily have to go home. There's usually a small group that goes down to Rookies, which is right around the corner. Grab a beer, exchange business cards, and geek out about digital marketing. So I'll ask everybody towards the end who all's going, get a show of hands, and we'll see if everybody's going down there so nobody shows up alone and wondering where everybody else is at. All right, and we have a few sponsors that help us to put on these events. In that list, you have the Raleigh SEO Conference. Who all was here was at the Raleigh SEO Conference last month? 2, 3, 4. A few people out of the room there. For those that didn't make it this year or this past year, this was our 4th year of having the Raleigh SEO Conference, which if you're quick with the math, that means that 2020 will be the 5th year of the Raleigh SEO Conference. And so we're already starting to get the planning ready to go for that, see if we can make it an even better event than it was the past 4 years. A little bit better each year. We also have Deep Crawl that helps to sponsor these events. Look to the right, The Design, The Digital. I need to update my notes over here. Yeah, right there. They did rebranding this year, and I've noticed a couple of places on the site and such where I've missed those things. So on our site, yeah. So working on that. The Digital, Reunion Marketing, Wingswept, and Opsis are all sponsors of the Raleigh SEO Meetup, and thanks to them, we're able to provide the food and have this venue space and be able to have these events and put on these live feeds. Speaking of the live feeds, Ecom Integrate is the sponsor that helps us with the live video feeds. If anybody is curious about what happened with the Google Analytics talk that we were going to be doing today, that has been moved to next month, so that will be July 16th. One more thing, everybody in the room already knows this because I mentioned it earlier, but for those viewers at home, the member directory is at bit.ly/2019 SEO Meetup. SEO is all capitalized in that URL, and that's where we're collecting information about all of our members in order to figure out who we can invite as speakers and where we can send referrals when different projects come in that may match with the skill sets of our various members. Without further ado, Rob is going to tell us about link building.
All that good stuff. Keep them clapping. I'm almost done, guys. Patrick said it's cooler when you do that. Hi, everybody. I'm Rob Delory. I'm with a company called The Digital Marketing Agency right here in Raleigh, and I'm a senior solutions consultant for the company. Basically, I do a lot of sales is what I do. But I do love search engine optimization, and I really appreciate the group asking me to come out and talk about link building today. Now, my wife used to do sales training, and there's always some part of a job where people would be like, okay, I don't mind doing all this. I really do not like doing this. And she always used to say to them, I'm going to make you love whatever it was, you know, and that would be the mantra every time she would meet up with them. You going to say it? Yes, I love selling data. That was back when cell phones, before they were smartphones, would have these data apps on them. And, you know, that was a really big thing. They just hated talking about that. So at first, I was like, I love link building, but now I really do. I mean, to me, this is half of search engine optimization. So as I'm going through this, just keep that in mind, because I'm sure that there's a lot of people in the room who talk about it, think about it, go back to just writing more content for their website. But this really is a big part of doing search engine optimization, and it's oftentimes a lot easier than people think. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it. So this was true. I wanted to let everybody know that, I mean, I could talk on hours end about this subject and nobody will want to go ahead and listen to it all. So I tried to condense what I could. I took a lot of stuff out. So if you think of something and you're like, hey, Rob, you forgot this, jump in. I probably didn't forget it. I just had to take it out of the presentation. So what is the value of a link? I mean, okay, it drives traffic to your site. Is there any other value to having a link to your website? See, an upvote. There's a lot of different ways that people describe it. Upvote. Some ways I'm not allowed to talk about, because Jenny Hallis tells me I can't call it link juice. Sometimes people say it passes value. Sometimes people say it passes authority. There's any number of different terms. But ultimately what it is it's sending a signal. And Google picks up on all sorts of signals throughout the web, and it's making these determinations based upon this. Links aren't just links. There's a lot more to that. So you guys jumped ahead on me. I had a whole slide ready for that. But the question is, are all links of equal value? No, they are not. And now, good links, bad links, that's what we're going to break down. So let's determine the value of a link. First, I want to start asking really a basic question. Do we need them? I'm being serious about this. I run into people all the time in our industry. You don't need backlinks. As long as you just write good content. Yeah, you know what? Maybe in less competitive industries or less competitive keywords, great content can make that happen. I've seen great content in very competitive spaces even make it without links. But really, why kill yourself in trying to just fight something when you have the opportunity to have half the pieces of the puzzle put together by doing this? And it's always brought to you by those people who say SEO is dead. Oh, you don't need SEO, just do pay-per-click, or oh, Google will go ahead and just reward the best. Okay, I'm not going to continue on with that. So I always ask people, do you have a better way? Now, we can go ahead and we can write content. I'm obsessed right now with my smoker, my grill. I ordered it. It's showing up. I'm very happy about it. But I started to do a search for it. And I started saying, hey, I want to find out about the Kamado Joe reviews. Now, I'm not trying to purchase it. I just wanted to know about the reviews. Now, in theory, let's just say that every person in this room has a website, and you're all creating a page doing reviews on Kamado Joe Jr., and that's very specific. I already have a Kamado. so as we have all of these pages, and everybody out there is just creating really great content and all that, there's only 10 spots on page 1. And as you can see, you're going up against 52,000 other pages that Google has determined there's a match somehow. Now, quite honestly, we're all in here, we're all writing a page for this, and it's fantastic content. How is Google supposed to be able to sort through it? It's not as intelligent as everybody would like to think it is yet. But really what it comes down to is it's looking for other signals from other places. Now again, I'm going to ask the question, does anybody in here, do you believe in link building? Does anybody not believe in link building? As if you guys would say so. You don't believe in link building?
I wasn't answering your question, I was asking a question.
Go for it.
So for those of us that are less initiated than all of the rest,
Yes.
who are in this business, could you explain link building, backlinks, and external links and things for all the new
I hope to have that answered as we're going through this presentation, but if I miss the mark, well, then you reserve your judgment till the end. I'm okay with that. And at the end, you can stand up and give your rendition on that. So again, everybody in the room, all equal content, you know, to some extent or the other. Google has to go ahead and put those 52,000 in order, and I won't say that it bases that just on link building, but it's definitely a huge factor. So let's talk about the value of links. The first one I always start with is talking about the no-follow link. Now, no-follow link was something that came along years ago because when everybody realized the power of link building, everybody was out there abusing it. They were building links everywhere in comment sections, directories, places where links just didn't have a need to be, but they were easy to go ahead and create. And then you could go ahead and write scripts that would automatically go ahead and build links out there for you. So Google said, please help us, all of the web developers out there. If you use this, we might be able to cut down a lot on all of the spam that's hitting the internet. Now, it worked to some degree, but it also brought a lot of people in the industry into alignment saying, okay, we need to get serious and stop just trying to build links for the sake of building them. Let's go ahead and get some quality out there. So actually what it is right in HTML, it's an attribute, it's developing a relationship. It's basically saying, hey, this link is here, but it might be paid, it might just be a comment, it's not something that we're so much endorsing as a website. It's there for another reason. And because of this, Google goes ahead and follows that, and we all follow that as well. So what I'm saying is that we don't want to, as link builders, focus on no-follow links. That's not a strategy for your clients, for your company, for any of that. And the best part is as you're doing your research, I'm going to refer to this again, so much so Ahrefs and SEMrush and a few of them out there, they all keep track of it as well in a lot of their tools. So whenever you're doing your research, keep that in mind. I'll give you examples of this as we're going through, but I always like to say that because some people say, well, it doesn't really make a difference. Well, if some of the strongest tools on the internet for this purpose are breaking them down that way, there's a reason for that. But does that mean that no follow equals no value? Is there value in actually gaining them? They're not going to pass that authority, that link juice that we were talking about earlier. But there are other reasons for doing that. Again, back to this young lady's point back here. Sue. Sue, back to your point of the first thing that you said was, if you go ahead and you get a link on a website, somebody might click through it, which is ultimately what SEO really is all about, is trying to, for us, on our side, trying to drive traffic to our website. So if you do find opportunities, even though it's a no-follow, but you believe that you'll gain traffic from it, it's worth it every day of the week. But try not to think about those links passing value. Think of it from the terms of Google. Google has gone ahead and read everything on the internet, picked up on every link that's out there, and even some of the no-follow links, it started to develop an expectation that if you're in the industrial space, you're going to probably have a profile set up on, I think it's thomas.com or thomas.net. It's one of those websites out there that's a listing website. And because everybody in the industry goes ahead and creates a profile there, there's an expectation Google's going to be looking for. You're saying you sell this type of equipment, and I also see that you have a link on thomas.net. Okay, that makes sense to me. It reinforces what it is that you're trying to tell Google. And because of that, no follows can go ahead and provide that type of value. It's kind of the idea of setting up your social media profiles. It helps to go ahead and give Google context about your website and eventually basically your business. So there is value in it. And actually there's a great resource out there from Bright Local. Some of the Bright Local's competitors have built very similar lists. talks about going ahead and getting the name, address, phone listings that are very important for your Google My Business profile. But remember, they oftentimes have links in them. So I don't want you guys running out there and getting all of these links and believe that you've done link building, but there is some advantages to doing this. It really does help the algorithm understand what your business is about. Question for the audience. Is it better to have one link from 10 different websites or 100 links from one website? Okay. Depends on the authority. It all depends on what?
Well, it depends. Are the 10 websites super stellar, or is the 100 website like an ESPN.com?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. How many people work for an agency here? Okay, or for yourself as an agency? Oftentimes we get caught up in the numbers, and we're able to go ahead and show our clients, well, we built this many links this month. There's no right or wrong answer to this. Now, me personally, I'd love to have one link from 10 different websites of strong authority and within the industry. However, there's nothing wrong with getting 100 links from one website, because I've seen lots of people who, oh yeah, we went ahead and we got a link on this website. Well, we don't care about that website anymore. And that's a mistake. Having multiple links on a single website can go ahead and provide more value for you. It can also go ahead and give you the opportunity to get one link for one page and a link for another page. I mean, there's lots of reasons to do so. You were asking something? Mm-hmm.
And granted, it's all legit, but the problem is to me, I was just wondering, is there like a spam? You know, like at some point Google goes, wow, this is like 5 links, 10 links from one website, but like 100, 500, 1,000. Like, where does it start hitting like the spam button?
Spam button's pretty high, I believe, now. Google won't tell us, of course. But I think the spam level's high because Penguin's just taken more into account of ignoring some links rather than you're in trouble for these links. It's an algorithm update that addressed basically links. And it's something that used to run every few years basically, but now it's an ongoing thing. So again, the most recent update and the one that's continuing right now just devalues links. So the issue that you're describing used to be of big concern years ago. It's just less now. The thing is oftentimes people will look at that and say, wow, look at how many links we built. Where's that value? And it's one of those things where you could set up a metric. Well, you got 10 links, but you only got one on each website, but you got 50 on this one. It's just good practice to get as many as you can. 10,000, that's a lot. Mm-hmm. Well, if I got 10,000 links to 10,000 different pages on my website from one website, I'd be okay with that. Yep. The easiest link building that's out there is on your own website. Now, this is the one that Patrick made me talk about today. I wanted to talk about it, but he said, no, you really should add this. A lot of people don't realize the value in there. Now, Google doesn't care that it's your website. It just sees something that has some domain authority, whether it's small or large domain authority. It all adds up over time from multiple websites. Your content is going to be topically relevant. One link from another page to another page, Google's picking up on that signal. Your links most likely are follow links, which, you know, dings one of the check marks there. And you control the anchor text. I mean, that's where you're oftentimes going for that link and it's anchor text going back to your website. You're like, oh, I wish that was better. You have complete control over this. You can go through your pages, the ones of highest value, and say, let me go ahead and link this to another page because I'd like to increase the value of this one. For me, this is the probably the biggest opportunity that's missed out there in link building is people don't look at their own website. They really just think, oh, Google knows that's my website. It doesn't care. And this is where, is 10,000 links on one website bad? Well, in this case, no. It's an algorithm. It's picking up on all of this information. Oh, did I get it? So yes, so as a point, I mean, you go into your search console, do you think they would have built an entire tool for it within the search console if it didn't make a difference? Google pays attention to this and even gives you a report on it because of that. So I want to give you an example of what I mean by some of this. So let's say that you're in a space and you say, boy, it would really be great to go ahead and get a link from an authoritative website in the floral industry. And you have this website here and you say, oh, fantastic. You know, I think there might be an opportunity for me to write a blog post for them, to go ahead and show them something new that they would be interested in. And, you know, a lot of people go down this route and they don't realize, and I'm going to skip this for a second, that some of these websites that are out there, they'll go ahead and do anything. I've seen stuff like this. I mean, if you do enough research, you find this all over the internet. Now the question is what's the value in getting a link on this page to your website? Is there any value? Is this good practice? Okay, that was an easy one. A page like this, even though Google's looking at it saying, okay, the whole domain really is focused on flowers, the floral industry, but suddenly we have something in here. You might be able to get a link on this page, but the algorithm's going to pick up on that. Okay, we've got the whole domain, but this page has nothing to do with what it is because somebody just put in lorem ipsum basically, and hey, you've gotten a link there. It's kind of like somebody had mentioned before, yeah, well, if you get one from ESPN, it's a similar thing. Yeah, I mean, there's high authority in ESPN. I would never turn a link like that away, but I really want something that's more towards my industry. Because again, it all factors into the algorithm because Google's getting smarter every day about this stuff. So don't fall into traps like this because you'll hear people say, oh yeah, for a few dollars we can go ahead and get you on such and such website. And sometimes this is what you end up with. This is some of the pitfalls you have to look out for. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were going to ask a question. Okay. I don't want to ignore this side of the room. I can face this way for a while if that helps. Okay. The point is easy to get links. When you go ahead and you pay short money to get a link on a website, something like that, Google's starting to figure things like that out. Directory websites, that's where years ago they were big practice. Everybody loved them because they were really easy to get. When they're really easy to get, Google figures that out eventually and starts demoting the value of that, even if it is a follow link. So every time you're out there and you really think, this is too good to be true, this is going to be fantastic, it's kind of like a sales pitch. It probably is too good to be true. So, you know, keep in mind that, you know, years ago people said, oh, let's put them on all the social media platforms out there because fantastic, all I have to do is set up an account. It takes me 5 minutes per account. I just did 20 accounts in the course of 3 hours. And for a short time that worked until they figured that out. So long term, the value is just not there. You might even see a slight bump for a short time, but Google will pick that up. I say Google, Bing as well. I just don't say Bing that often. So, is it worthwhile to get links from low authority websites?
No.
Who said no?
Me.
Why not?
Low authority?
Yeah, it's, you know, I'm giving a couple of examples. Let's say mechanics out of Birmingham, Alabama. I mean, local adds to the relevancy. That's right. That's exactly right. So if I am nationwide Napa Auto, hey, that's great. Maybe I can get 20,000 links across the country, you know, because, you know, they're pretty well known. But an auto parts dealer that's just in Birmingham, getting links from some of the local mechanic shops, no, they're not going to go ahead and build up their authority. But Google's picking up on that. They've gone ahead and within the algorithm understood that this is basically a local website dealing with local service, and an auto parts store getting links from local mechanics like that. That will go ahead and help, because the reason I bring this up is a lot of times people will say, oh, I won't, I look at MAWs and I look at Ahrefs and I won't even bother approaching a website unless they're DR50 or above or whatever the case is. I'm not saying you should spend enormous amounts of time going after local mechanic shops if you've got an e-commerce store that you're trying to go nationwide. But when you're talking about local SEO, there's definitely value in being able to go ahead and get links from localized websites, I should say. And it really comes down to, I never want to go ahead and say, no, I don't want that link, especially if it's easy to go ahead and get. And I'll talk a little bit about the actual link building. I see some people are bored talking about the theory of link building, but really what it comes down to is sure, it would be great to go ahead and have all of the biggest websites in your industry linking to your website with the exact anchor text you want. I mean, that would be fantastic, but there's nothing wrong with a lesser hand, especially if you're playing against some of the competitors that are just as weak a hand as well. I don't know if I made that work or not, but. So why do websites link to yours? It's as simple a question as that. Why would a website link to your website or your client's website? Good content. Good content. Who said that? Somebody. There we go. Good content. You have quality content. You provide them content. Or you become a part of their content. I'll give you examples of everything, I promise. So let me go with good content. Yes, I'm going to brag a little bit. We do have a few pages that rank well, but this is an example of a well-researched piece of content. No, I'm not showing you the piece of content. I'm sorry, but this is from our Search Console. This particular piece of content was well-researched. It was thought through. It was very deep. It was, we did everything right, best practices, and we built a couple of links to this content. And what happened was Google said, yes, it's fantastic content, a few links. Your website already has a lot of authority. It went to page 1. I don't know about rather quickly, but it got there. And people started seeing and said, fantastic, that's great. And we ended up, last time I think I checked, was 99 links. You can do link building without link building. And this is a pretty good example. Not all of them were fantastic. Some of them were, boy, I never thought we could have gone ahead and gotten links from websites like that. But 99 referring domains and 235 actual links. Sometimes link building doesn't require you to do that type of outreach. Sometimes it's as simple as Google says, create good content. And for those people who say you don't have to do link building, all you have to do is build great content. I agree with you with this one asterisk. We write a lot of content. Not all of it makes it to page 1 for the terms that we want. Not all of it is something that makes people really want to go ahead and link to it. Sometimes it's just really good information out there. And as proud as I can be, not every page on our website can be the ultimate winner for the keyword terms. But this is a great strategy. It helps that page stay high in the search rankings, and overall, the entire domain benefits, because that's 100 more websites linking to our website as a whole. Will work for links. Now, guest blogging is something that is getting to be a touchy subject in the industry. Hey, I will go ahead and write for your website, so you will get free content as long as I can put a link back to my website or my client's website. Now, cautions all over the place on this. Google's still rumbling out there, do not do this. But Google's been saying a lot of things for a lot of years about a lot of practices, and I've still seen a lot of it work. That's not me telling you to go ahead and just turn your whole strategy around and start doing just guest blogging. But there are some things that you should do and shouldn't do. You shouldn't fill your content with a whole bunch of links to all of your client sites. Sometimes it's a matter of, and this is a good example, within the actual story itself, we didn't link to anything. All we got is the actual profile. And right here, this is a little bit old because it was before our rebranding. But we basically went to them and said, hey, we'd like to write an article on PPC. We see you don't really do that, but we think it would be beneficial. We'll write a great topic. Because the website said, yeah, go ahead. They went ahead and put it up there. And all they did was attribute to us that, you know, this is the author and this is where he works. We got a very good quality link. We were very happy with it. And again, I don't know if this will continue on. As long as we're all playing nice, doing guest posting, I don't think Google's going to really attack people or organizations on this. But it is good part of the strategy to have. And again, a lot of abuse is occurring out there. People are paying, I'll pay you $50, just post my content on your website, which is how we end up with a florist website talking about engineering degrees. But in this case, the content was very similar to what he had on his website, and it worked out well. And again, this is a good example. So it is great to go ahead and get guest blogging. Just
be careful about it. You don't want to be out there with somebody that's how they make their business online, is just selling guest blogging opportunities to people, because believe it or not, again, the search engines figure that out eventually. We made it on the list. This is where a few slides ago I said become a part of their content. Sometimes you get picked up on. You know, hey, I'm looking to go ahead and create the 10 best web designers, the 10 best WooCommerce development companies that are out there. Sometimes we go ahead and we do outreach to try and get on the list. Sometimes we just get picked up automatically. But the point here is we didn't have to write the content. We just had to sometimes bring it to their attention and let them know that, you know, hey, we're one of the top web designs out there, and we'll actually do searches for this list of Raleigh web design companies, best WooCommerce, and we contact them sometimes and we say, hey, we're better than some of the ones that are on the list. Frank, are you about to give me a hard time about something?
No, not a hard time.
Okay.
I think it's a valuable question.
Hit me.
You mentioned that sometimes you do outreach to be on some of these lists.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just naturally put onto the list.
Yes.
Do you think some of those naturally put onto the list are actually the result of doing the outreach and being on someone else's list? So someone else does lazy research and just calls that list.
That can happen very often, yes, because I want to go ahead and also create a top 10 list.
am I even too lazy to Google and go through 3 pages of them? Yes, sometimes they just look at another list and say, I think I'll just recreate that list, write a little blurb about each, and call it a day. But since you didn't do the outreach, I wouldn't feel any guilt about that. But for that outreach, you know, sometimes you have to ask the why. Why would somebody go ahead and take the time to go either back onto a page or create a new page just for the sake of updating their list? Well, we're better than the guys that you have on the list. Sometimes it's, hey, I clicked through a few of those sites and they look pretty old, and you're talking about really solid web design companies out there, and you're, you know, basically clicking through and finding out that they don't even have a mobile-friendly website. So sometimes you can embarrass them a little bit, not too much, because you don't want to overdo that. You don't want to overplay your hand on that one. Sometimes you can just say, hey, we're new in town, and it might be nice to refresh the content on your web page because of that. Here's a page of our awards. That's going ahead and giving them proof that, hey, we are strong. And I'm giving you web design because it was the easiest thing for me to think of at the moment. I easily could have gone ahead and attributed this to any other industry as well. I'm giving you a few examples here because, again, there were so many ideas that I had, I really had to consolidate it. I thought I'd go a little bit easy on myself here. Sometimes the link is broken. Somebody goes out of business. Somebody changed their URL structure, and again, you just bring it to their attention. Now, again, this practice is something that was fresh a few years ago, and some people are really tired of getting that email, hey, I saw a broken link on your website. Here's my shiny website. Link building is becoming more about creating relationships, of getting to know these organizations, and not just straight out of the gate getting that email, hey, I saw that on your website. Could you go ahead and, maybe you start following them on Instagram, maybe you start following them on LinkedIn, maybe you start commenting in their sections. Starting to build that relationship is going to make something like this far more effective. So let me give you an example of an actual process I went through recently. One of our clients, they wanted to go ahead and start ranking one of their pages for concrete scarifiers. And scarifier is basically this big machine. It evens out the sidewalks when one of the cement lifts up. It's not something exciting. It's not something terribly interesting. Building links for this kind of stuff is like, oh my goodness, this is work. Okay, so basically, step-by-step process. I'll give you an example of going through this. Do a search for concrete scarifiers. Boom, first one shows up. I was so glad this was easier than I thought it would be, because I thought I was going to have to put a lot of research into this for you guys. Top search result. I said, okay, let me go ahead and check out not this website, but this actual page. I want to go ahead and do the research on what links somebody else was able to build for a competitor's website. Am I describing that okay? Okay, good. All nods, yeah. So I went ahead, back to Ahrefs, which I love so much, and I dropped the actual page in there. What you got?
I get this one all the time.
Yeah.
When you say a competitor's website,
Yes.
do you mean that they are also selling this product or service?
I won't say that. I won't say that because I didn't care if they were selling it or not. They were ranking for a keyword term that I was after. So whether they were selling something, they were doing reviews on it, whether they were MIT and they were the inventors of it, whoever was ranking for that keyword, I wanted to see why. So I don't look at it so much of, oh, this is their competitor, because a lot of their competitors are probably on page 3 that they think are competitors. Sorry, again, you guys could get me off on a tangent. So Ahrefs, Ahrefs.com. So back to it, drop in the actual page, and Ahrefs gave me 9 results that they picked up on.
Google might be finding all sorts of other stuff out there. This is a third-party tool. This is what they found. And they showed me, hey, there's 9 different domains that are linking to this particular page. Now, again, I'll go back to, it could be the domain authority that was causing that page to rise high in the rankings, but individual page links definitely count for a lot
in Google's mind. So I just kind of started perusing through it, and I started realizing, hey, some of these were no-follow links, but some of them were follow. Now, if I'm going to go do all this work, I am not going to spend a lot of time worrying about the no-follow links. So we'll get those eventually, but it's not something that I was really going to focus on for this exercise. So as I'm looking at the follow links, I started looking at, okay, hey, you got something that's in Ahrefs' estimation has a level 10 of domain authority, which isn't bad. It's kind of like up there with the actual repair shops, the mechanics, But I was saying, okay, I really want to spend a little bit of time on something. I want something that will give it a little bit more boost. I saw this one had 29. I ran across this one. I said, wow. On a scale of 0 to 100, Ahrefs gave that one website a 71 rating. I've got to check it out. I've got to dig into this a little bit more, find out. So I went to the website and I said, okay, it's talking about horses. Okay. Well, it's a high authority website in Ahrefs' eyes. I'll still go ahead and go through it. And I realized, hey, they went ahead and created a page asking the question, how to make concrete less slippery. I'm still skeptical about it because what do I see just below it? It goes straight into the comments section. Does anyone have any suggestions on what? And I was like, oh, did Ahrefs get this wrong? Because we know that comment sections are usually no follow. But I did a little bit more digging. I checked the code, and there was an actual comment in here that had a follow link. Is this the best link I've ever found in my, no, it's just not. But it's hitting all of the marks. Now, some people would say, no, I would never go ahead and put that in there. It's an algorithm. It's not judging me. It's not saying, well, it was in the comments section, Rob, so we're not going to give you authority for it. If I can go in and spend 5 minutes, create a profile, go ahead and add my commentary as long as I'm answering the question. I mean, I'm not just going to drop a link in there and say goodbye. Hey, go back to my guy. How do you make a floor less slippery? And let's find a reason to put that link in there to that page. Hey, it works for me. I don't know if you guys are judging me or not out there, but I'm okay with that. So if I could spend 5 minutes and another 5 minutes writing the content and submit it, get on that page, move on to my next opportunity, check back in 2 weeks, and I've gotten a high quality link from a website that's not so much in their realm, but this page is dedicated to it. It had quite a few reviews. The content really was full on that page because of the comments. What did you have to ask, my friend?
Is this why major journal outlets online have reduced or banned comment sections?
Because, again, it attracts a lot of what I'm describing. I'm not going to do this unless I think it brings value to the page itself. Not just because I believe in our industry, but because I believe it'll improve the value of the link. If the link is surrounded by content giving an answer on that page and it's relevant to that industry, talking about, well, concrete is, not as porous and...
So a follow-up question.
Please.
So let's say it's completely legitimate.
Sure.
In the context of the discussion going on that page and relevant to the article.
Yes.
In the comment section, and it might be a comment to a comment or whatever. Was there a mad rush for people to go around looking for these spaces to insert their forward links into the comment sections? It seems
Yep.
like a great strategy to put yourself in the context of a major outlet.
Mm-hmm. But that's exactly it. Everybody was abusing the situations out there.
So it overran.
Exactly. I mean, have you ever looked through the comment sections of some websites and you were like, okay, a robot must have written this, or somebody who didn't really have a firm grasp of the English language, or I don't even know what they're talking about here. There's so many different ways that they were automating the systems, that they were just crawling the internet.
Why you would, if you were looking to establish the good
Mm-hmm.
forward link from the comment, why you wouldn't write a really good comment, put it in, spend some time to earn the link.
Yep.
And also get the creds from that because you might be reading.
Because everybody has their own objectives. Some companies out there are tasked with, get me 20,000 links next month. You got it. Some companies are out there just saying, hey, I just need to go ahead and build up a little bit of authority for this one page, and I don't even care if nobody checks it out next month because I'm just going to burn that domain anyways, but I'll get the value out of it in short term till the algorithm catches up with it. There's any number of reasons that are out there. But what I want to do is I do want to build something relevant for the client because I want it to be long lasting. I want my clients to be around for a long time. And if they go back and have an audit done and they see that I've been building nothing but terrible links over time, then they're going to come to me and say, what were you doing, Rob? So I hope I've answered your question.
This is a
Sue.
little bit off topic.
Are you going to blame somebody over there?
No,
Oh.
this is going the wrong way. Let's say you have like a good newsletter.
Yes.
And you refer to a great article. You put a link in the newsletter.
Mhm.
That's not coming from the web, right? I mean, is that still a link?
No. Only when Google indexes
Right.
something does. Now it'll still link. Don't get me wrong. It'll show up in somebody's.
Be more like organic, like wouldn't it show up as more organic or something?
Well, I've actually had that instance
Okay.
where if someone opens it up as an HTML file, Google can find it, crawl it, and index it. Like, you know what I mean?
So
Like,
if it's
and
in the
people
newsletter.
can open up an email
Yeah.
on the web.
So if it's in the newsletter and you click to the HTML, then it becomes indexed?
You know, like if people don't open the email in their actual email system, they open it in a browser.
In a browser? I don't know about Google picking up on that. Wait a minute. I've got two people in the background back there dying to answer your question. I got to let Frank go because he went first.
So, with like, I know MailChimp had this, I haven't used MailChimp in a while, where you could publish your emails as a page that would be added to an archive.
Right.
And with Meetup, all the emails that I send to all you guys are also published to our message board. So you get the email in your inbox, but it also ends up on a publicly accessible
Mhm.
message board that's also crawlable. So all those links are backlinks to all of our sponsors because backlinks are important to SEO.
Patrick, were you going to jump in?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Some email services archive what you send
Yeah.
and make it publicly available. It won't be found from like a user clicking and
No,
using it.
I hope not.
You will not see that.
Okay, so again, this is an example where you're kind of mixing things because I started out saying comment sections are usually no follow. I checked the code. There was no follow attribute. It's something that is, I would say, fairly easy to get. And I don't know because I sent this off to somebody else and they'll figure it out if they're going to make it happen. So I have no idea if it even happened. However, it's something where, again, it's relevant. The page itself, even though the domain itself is talking about horses, the page itself is relevant towards your industry. And this is something that I think would be quality enough to go ahead and pursue. Do I want my entire strategy going after comment sections? No. But I wanted to give you a real example and the thought process that went through it. Now, what I really love about Ahrefs is that you can go in and take all of those top ranking websites for the keywords that you're after, put them into Ahrefs, do what's called a link intersect. Have you guys ever done this? Anybody raise their hand? Okay, I knew. Okay, good. So what happens with this is you're basically saying, okay, don't just give me one website and its links. Take all 10 of these websites. Show me the numbers on these links. And I'll jump back and forth if you guys need me to explain what we're actually looking at here. So what happened is since I asked for all of this from Ahrefs, it now gives me a way to be able to go through these websites and determine which ones are the highest priority, because I would like high authority, but I would love to be able to go ahead and find out what websites somebody has gotten links from on multiple websites. I'm not describing that correctly. Let me go through as an example. So here's where they intersect. 9 out of the 10 websites that we just saw had links from this particular website. That's 9 out of 10. That's a pretty high number. Link intersect allows you to go ahead and check this. Now, the website itself, I have no interest in trying to get a link from this. I think it might even be an aggregator that automatically picks things up. Neither here nor there. I looked at it. I've already said, no, that's not something I'm really that interested in. I'm going to move on. And I started going back down through this, and of course, a lot of the SEO tools out there pick up on this stuff, so you expect them to be 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 for this one. But as I started coming down, for constructionpros.com, 6 out of those 10 websites that I looked at had links coming from that website. Okay, now I've got to check this out. I've got to figure out why this particular website is linking to 6 of them. It couldn't be that they all have the same SEO agency. So either it's easy to get, or it's just something that caters to the industry, and it's something that I should go ahead and have. So I went in and I checked out that first website, and for constructionpros.com, Ahrefs gives you a nice little tool in here that when it has a strike through it, it says that's a no follow link. If it's a follow link, it won't have the strike through it. So it allows you to be able to go through this stuff. Now, what I just showed you here, this went on for pages and pages, because as the link intersects became less frequent, you see one of them was 9 out of 10, one 8. Then we had 4 of them that were 7 out of 10. What happens is as we start going down the list, we get down to 4 out of 10, there's going to be a lot more websites that are linking to them. This is really a lot of work, and this is one of the big reasons, probably one of the big 2 reasons, that people don't care for link building. It's research. It's a matter of going through. There's tools that can do a lot of this stuff. If you're doing it by hand, basically what I'm showing you right now is it's a lot of time investment with no guarantee that I'm going to figure out within 2 hours 2 great link opportunities, or I might find 50. It's just one of those things, one of the things in our industry. So what happened was I started saying, okay, so let me go ahead and dig deeper into this, and I figured out that they had a broken link. I thought I had it here. I apologize. That slide might be out of order. It was last minute I put this together. You guys will forgive me. So basically what I did was I did put it out of order. That's funny. I checked out this website, which was, I think, 4 out of 10 websites had a link from this particular website. And I went and checked out the actual link itself, and sure enough, it was a broken link. Now, this isn't a perfect example, because Digital Journal, basically that's what they do. They publish articles. But it's a good example of what I would be looking for. Now I have to look at it and say, is it worthwhile for me to either submit an article to Digital Journal? Is it worthwhile for me to go ahead and reach out to them because I know that that link is broken? And maybe I can go back and find out what this content actually was that they were so interested in linking to, and come up with either, is there content on my website that's very similar? Is it worthwhile for me to go ahead and rewrite the content for our audience so that I can put it on the website and worthwhile for them to go ahead and link to? Again, these are just a few strategies that we're talking about here. The best part, though, that I got really happy about is I went back and I took that particular page, this one that was broken, I put it back through the tool and I said, hey, if one like Digital Journal linked to it, maybe others linked to it. Just like the first one that I showed you where I said we had 99 websites that linked to it. Oftentimes one piece of content will attract links from different websites. So if it's worthwhile for one, maybe there was another, and just by chance there was one other website that had linked to that identical page. Now I'm starting to say, okay, is it really worthwhile to try and get 2 links for the same content? Am I going too fast, guys? Am I okay? Okay, I talk faster near the end. I'm sorry. What have you got, my friend?
Research, when I find a broken link to something I was interested in and I spent my time looking for it,
Sure.
I go and do a site search to see if they've moved the page somewhere. Because usually that's what's happened with the broken link is they've moved it someplace and that's why it's just broken.
Because you're interested in the content, you want to find that.
Right. So
Nobody else online, whether it's a publisher or Google, is going to go to that job.
I understand that. But when you're doing this research,
Yeah.
if you're trying to find the page, you might find it elsewhere on the site.
I might, but it would just be easier to put this into archive.org and check the history. Are you guys familiar with that tool, by the way? Archive.org? It's one of my favorite online because it keeps a historical record of a lot of stuff that was on the internet, especially just plain text. You can oftentimes go back. So that broken page, I was able to go back and find the one instance archive.org had archived, and I saw the content on there. Again, I didn't do anything with this because that's not my day-to-day operations, but I would have been on that. And I would have been on similar opportunities. And I feel like sometimes there's just not enough time to show everybody. This is like a workshop thing I'd love to do sometime. Do you hear that, Frank? Workshop, right? Okay, good. Sue, what do you got?
Kind of a newbie to this, but
Hit me.
you lost me, and I think what you said was if it's broken, you go back right there.
Yep.
You would rewrite that page. Is that what you're saying?
I would either look on my website to see if I have content that was relevant enough that it would be well enough to link to. No. That's what I'm saying is hey, this page from another website is linking to this. These are two different websites. This website linked to this website for this content, but now this content is gone. Now, if the website cares about broken links on their website, they now have a choice. Do they just remove the link? Do they go ahead and remove the entire page? Or do they just not care and leave it? I mean, there's any number of things. Now, I, as a responsible digital marketer, hate to see 404 pages out there. And I might go ahead and say, you know what, we could have written a better article on that topic. And I would go ahead and just send that to them and say, you know what, it'll take you 2 seconds to go ahead and change that link out. Look how good this content is. Or something thereabouts. I might give them a call on the phone to come across with that one. What's that? Everything has worked with somebody. Link building is like sales, and especially like cold calling. My wife used to make me say that. I love cold calling. I hated cold calling. You know, the percentage of success was so extremely slow, which is why I got into marketing. Generate your own leads. I love that. But everything works out there because sometimes I might even call somebody because I knew them way back when. Hey, guess what I saw on your website? No, I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't. So digital journal, byliner, I'm just showing you examples. This is the rabbit hole that I would go down in searching for these opportunities that are out there. And this is just one way of link building. There's so many different ways. Again, I hope we do get to do a workshop someday. And everybody push for inviting Patrick. He knows this stuff. It's so good. So anyways, that second page, another one. Again, this was the actual page that also had a broken link. Again, I have not reached out to anybody on this because honestly, it wasn't my project. So, okay, so I'm going to leave you with this one last thing that, because I'm obsessed with my barbecue. This is what showed up today. It finally got there. I thought I'd bring this full circle and let you know that I came here to be with you good people instead of being home with my new Kamado Joe Jr. So, does anybody have questions out there? Oh, what do we got? I think he was first. I'm sorry. I got to go with who was first.
All right, so I got a question kind of related to Ahrefs, but just those platforms in general between like that and SEM Rush and Moz. Like, how would you rank the popular platforms like that in terms of what you should be using?
I personally am partial to Ahrefs because it has the largest index out there. It's just has more information. When you compare, you run the same backlink profile on Ahrefs and SEM Rush, which I think would come in second, you'll just find usually Ahrefs has a lot more backlink information, just more data in general. Now, SEM Rush has some pretty cool tools to it that might be a little bit ahead, but honestly, I don't deal with it enough to be able to speak on it as intelligently. So Moz, though, I know that they refreshed a couple of months ago their tool, but I honestly haven't spent any time with it. I'm feeling a little embarrassed because I am up here talking about this topic, but that one, Ahrefs does so much for me. Between that and looking at, Search Console whenever I get that from a client, I have so much information. Sometimes it's hard just to get through that. So, yeah. You had a question.
Actually related to that, do you have any tools you'd recommend that would be similar in function but not as expensive?
Not as expensive. I'll have to go around the room for that. Does anybody else have any? I know $100 a month sounds a lot, but really you get a lot of value out of it, first of all. Second of all is a month to month. You can go ahead and download a whole bunch of data in 1 month if you really want to. And Ahrefs does give you a 14-day free trial. I think they're still doing that. Or 7 days. I don't know what it is, but you can go ahead and do that. As an ongoing tool, some people do find it expensive. I even used to complain about it. But when you start digging into it, you start realizing just how much information, and all of it, you can download that information if you do all of your research ahead of time, and then maybe not have to check it again for another 6 months for whatever reason it is. So that's my workaround on that. But I'm fortunate enough that my company pays for it. So anything? Oh. Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't even know Archive Social. No, I'm not familiar with them, but archive.org is really great for me because, again, I can go back and get a quick snapshot, but you can even find, when you're doing redirects, you can go ahead and find the old site maps and such. So, yeah, again, I'm sorry, I'm going off topic a little bit, but yeah, it's one of my favorites out there, and they don't charge you to use it. That's a nice part. Anybody else? You all want to get out of here. Thanks so much, everybody. What's that? Oh, because I already have the Kamado? Because, first of all, it's big, and I got to go through a lot of charcoal. Now, it's not an ROI thing. It's just sometimes you come home at night, it's like, okay, I've got to spark that thing up, and it takes like 45 minutes to get up to heat, and then it's really just big and cleaning it out, and I'm like, you know what? It would really be nice if, and they made a smaller one, and Jan and I were like, yeah, let's do it. It's great that my wife's on board with this. So I was going to go with a different brand because I like A/B testing. I like to know, but she said, that one's green and the old one's red. Okay, I got to get them to match now for my tag. That's how I ended up with the Kamado Joe Jr. But I did check out the reviews, and I was very pleased with it. So I can talk next time on Smoke and Barbecue if you'd like.